Catherine was sorting through the papers on her desk. These were mostly completed reports and orders that needed to be submitted to the secretary for disposal and archival storage. Unexpectedly, among them, she found a letter written by someone who had once tried to win her favor. Catherine remembered this person with a faint smile, barely noticeable, a shadow across her face. The letter, unexpectedly ending up in her hands, was a love confession from a rejected admirer. Its lines, filled with emotional intensity, seemed like a sad echo from the distant past. My love for you burns brightly, but as Henry Louis Mencken, the American journalist and satirist, once said, the greatest secret of happiness in love is to rejoice that someone else has married her. You have your own life, and I think I understand it. You love someone else, though your husband doesn't know. But as Victor Hugo said, a secret is like a net. One torn loop is enough for it all to unravel. These words, skillfully placed between the lines, unsettled Catherine. The message hinted that Adrian knew something about her personal life. Adrian, an engineer from the neighboring department, had recently joined their company but quickly earned a reputation as a skilled ladies' man. However, despite his open attempts to build relationships with various women, Catherine remained indifferent. There was room in her life for only one person, Russell, the husband of her best friend Claire. This complicated triangle had cast a shadow over many years of friendship. Catherine and Claire had been inseparable since childhood. They became friends at school, enrolled together in university, studied together, explored the world together, and fell in love simultaneously. Their lives ran parallel, like two lines that seemed never destined to cross. They met their future husbands around the same time. Catherine was drawn to Vincent, and Claire to Russell. Two weddings, separated by only a few weeks, followed by graduation, promised long years of happiness ahead. After graduating, fate brought them back to their hometown. They managed to get jobs together at the same government enterprise, which was soon to be liquidated. Having received their severance payments, they were laid off. Finding new jobs proved difficult. At each interview, they cautiously hinted they might soon become mothers, and job offers evaporated like smoke. Despite outward confidence, Catherine felt her life becoming tangled in webs of secrecy. She had long stopped thinking about her feelings for Russell, which had grown into something more substantial, and now, after receiving this letter, she felt a small loop in her secret threatening to tear apart. Dialing Adrian's internal office number, she unleashed a wave of angry words upon him, unable to contain her irritation. "Stay away from me." Her voice trembled from resentment and the hidden fear that he truly knew more than she imagined. The situation was becoming absurd, and Catherine felt that everything around her was collapsing. Since childhood, Catherine and Claire had been like sisters, always protecting each other. Now their friendship was being undermined by invisible threads Catherine herself had woven. Things were somewhat simpler for their husbands. Having studied on paid terms, they weren't obliged to compulsory placement and quickly found jobs upon returning home. Both took positions at manufacturing enterprises downtown, their offices close enough for occasional lunch meetings at nearby cafes. Such meetings, however, were rare. Due to the nature of his work, Russell was frequently absent, traveling to various sites, although it later became clear that another reason lay behind these trips. Recently, Russell had been using these times to meet with Catherine. Claire, his wife, worked in an office outside the city. Her company saved money on rental space, forcing employees to commute long distances. Catherine's workplace, on the other hand, was just a few steps away from the house where Claire and Russell lived. This convenient location became the decisive factor for their secret meetings. But how had it all begun? How had they dared to cross that thin line separating friendship from betrayal? Their romance arose from an ordinary life scenario. Everyone had too much work, and they began losing time for each other, spending more and more moments alone. Catherine's husband left for a business trip for a few days, and feeling lonely, she decided to visit her friend. Upon arriving, she discovered Claire was in the hospital. That same night, when Catherine had come to support her friend, her relationship with Russell crossed that invisible boundary. That first evening with Russell remained forever etched in Catherine's memory. Their relationship was never built on love, but rather on an irresistible physical attraction. They both understood their affair was merely temporary, yet neither could abandon it. Russell invited Catherine to his house during lunch breaks, and although she fully understood what lay behind these invitations, she lacked the strength or will to refuse. Attraction overpowered her, and again, she yielded to Russell. Sitting quietly in her office, recalling those moments, Catherine struggled to understand what had drawn her so deeply to Russell. From their very first meeting, Russell seemed like someone with whom it was always easy and fun. His special attentiveness toward women, ability to say the right words at the right moment, and making one feel important, all this played its role. However, their first evening together didn't resemble a passionate romantic impulse. When she came to him, they didn't immediately rush into bed, as one might expect. Instead, that evening they called Claire and then went to a nearby cafe. There, they drank, danced to music that drowned out their thoughts and worries, and as night approached, they still didn't want to part. Russell smiled and offered to walk her home, but there was already something more in his eyes. "Catherine, why would you go so far? You'll just have to travel back in the morning. I have a spare room, and we won't tell Claire and Vincent anything." The offer was foolish, but Catherine accepted it. Soon after entering his home, they found themselves in the same bed. Throughout all this time, Catherine was tormented by guilt towards Claire and Vincent. She tried to minimize meetings with her friend while being a devoted and loving wife to her husband. Deep down, Catherine understood that if their secret were ever revealed, it would destroy her marriage forever. She didn't know how Claire would react, but she was sure her friend would never forgive such betrayal. Days passed in these sad reflections. Suddenly, her mobile phone rang at work, and Catherine realized from the ringtone that help. If memory serves, that was his 6th labor, right? I don't recall the exact number, but I remember Hercules was clever. King Augeas promised him 1/10 of his cattle if he cleaned the stables in one day. Hercules broke 2 walls of the stables and directed rivers through them. But the king of Elis wasn't a fool. He didn't pay up, saying the rivers cleaned the stables, not Hercules himself. Exactly. Hercules got upset, killed the king, and put Augeas' son on the throne. He also started the Olympic Games in honor of Zeus, declaring peace during the games. But as far as I know, no one respects that anymore. True, people have forgotten peace. All you hear is war. Listen, I'm calling because the electricity was cut off in our office. Who cut it off? Who else? Emergency services and the power company. They did an inspection 2 months ago and wrote up some requirements, but nobody followed them. They even imposed a fine back then. Now we're off work for 3 days as they're urgently replacing wiring, distribution panels, and other electrical equipment. Why did it take so long? Issues with tenants. The lease agreement doesn't specify who fixes the building's problems or who pays. Who owns the building? The city administration. Maybe they'll renovate it? No way. The building's completely rotten. It can't be repaired. And you weren't afraid to work there? We're very brave. We fear nothing. Remember, I was in the hospital 2 months ago after hurting my leg. But you didn't know then? Correct, I didn't. It happened at work during work hours. Emergency services started frequenting our office after that. I fell with the wooden stairs leading to the 2nd floor. That's horrible. No horror. The stairs are blocked now, and we use another one. But we're told to go up and down one at a time. One at a time? Exactly. There shouldn't be more than one person on the stairs. What does your director think? He's arranging to move our office downtown. There's a new building almost ready near your place. As soon as it's finished, we'll move in. When will that happen? In a couple of weeks. But if the director isn't stupid, he won't invest in wiring repairs. It's just throwing money away. You're right. Then I'll expect you for lunch at my place. Your stables can wait. Did Hercules come after all? Claire laughed. I'll be there by lunch. Half an hour left. Maybe I'll bring something sweet. Catherine, you know I'm dieting. Besides, I have pastries. You're dieting anyway. Half an hour later, Catherine entered the familiar building she had left just yesterday. Climbing the stairs, she rang the doorbell and heard. "It's open, come in." Catherine entered the apartment, left her shoes in the hallway, slipped on soft house slippers, and headed to the kitchen. Claire was there, setting the table. Catherine glanced into the living room and noticed unusual disorder compared to yesterday's perfect tidiness. "What's this mess?" "I decided to clean up, but it requires some effort. 3 days off, need to make good use of the time." "You plan to do a deep clean in 3 days? What's complicated about it? Hercules managed everything in a day, so why can't I?" "Sit down." Claire placed a bottle of cognac and sliced lemon on the table, followed by pork fried with onions and mashed potatoes. Catherine skeptically remarked, "So, you're dieting?" "Catherine, only when possible. Today my department always understands and doesn't ask why or where I'm going. It's not like that in our office. You have work and deadlines. We simply have no free time." It's difficult for Vincent to get away from work too, but he always meets with Russell in a cafe during lunch. "Yes, our husbands were great friends just like we were good friends." "Were?" Catherine asked. "Let's have a drink, otherwise the glass in your hand will boil." They drank, biting into slices of lemon, and put some pork with mashed potatoes onto their plates. After eating a bit, Catherine returned to the unanswered question. "Claire, you're a smart girl. Why did you say were?" "Because everything fell apart the moment you started sleeping with my husband." Catherine froze at Claire's words and lowered her eyes, asking quietly, "You know everything? How did you find out? Does it really matter? Your necklace somehow ended up in my bed." "Thank you," Catherine whispered softly. "I thought I had lost it. There's no need to be angry with him. Claire, please don't tell Vincent about this." "Are you going to tell him yourself?" "No, I won't. He doesn't need to know." "Maybe you're right. I won't tell your husband about your betrayal either." "Thank you." "You're welcome. I'm still your friend, so I'll keep quiet. But you should know, Russell will probably tell him everything himself. He's meeting Vincent at the cafe today, and if he wants my forgiveness, he'll have to confess what he's done to your husband." "But you said you forgave Russell." "I told you the truth. I forgave him and even packed his things, but he doesn't live here anymore. This apartment was a wedding gift from my parents, if you remember. It's mine." "Claire, you've destroyed my family." "Catherine, have you done something good for mine?" "I told you I regret everything that happened. I thought we would discuss this, but it's pointless now. I have to save my marriage. I think it's too late. Vincent isn't answering your calls. It's a kind of timeout. He's deciding what to do with you and his friend Russell. Tell me, how did you end up cheating?" "I don't want you to think I'm blaming Russell for everything." "Yes, Russell initiated the seduction. He invited me here to this apartment after the cafe to stay overnight. He asked if I wanted to go to your bedroom. I have no excuses. When he was seducing me, I didn't do what I should have done. I knew what would happen when I entered the bedroom. I'm sorry to admit it, but my decision was selfish. I did it because I could. I have to admit I was excited, but everything that happened brought only disappointment." Catherine raised her glass of cognac, emptied it in one gulp, and continued without eating anything. "I agreed to meet Russell fully aware of what I was doing. I knew it was mean toward you, my friend, but I honestly thought it wouldn't matter, as you would never know. I considered it just a meaningless outlet. My selfishness overcame moral boundaries. Or maybe because Russell is a better man than Vincent, and you are in love with him," Claire jabbed. "Please don't think this affair was due to dissatisfaction with my husband. My Vincent is an incredible and attentive lover who gives me everything I could want. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but Vincent is a better man for me than Russell. I have no doubt. Russell is in the past for me. I'm moving forward. Maybe I won't have a successful family life. You said yourself, the competition is tough. But now I'm going to live for myself. There's nobody else in my life, and even if someone appears, I'll be cautious. Believe me, it's very painful to suddenly discover the betrayal of someone you trusted. Yesterday, Russell cried and asked for forgiveness. He suggested counseling, but I refused. I can't pretend nothing happened. I'm distancing myself. I'm sorry, Catherine, but you're no longer my friend. Today is our last meeting. Yes, we'll cross paths. The city is small, but we'll just be acquaintances. You've destroyed our long friendship and your family. But about your family, I don't know. That's Vincent's decision. Let's drink. Claire poured a bit more cognac into the glasses, adding, "You should eat something. You can't afford to get too drunk today. You still need to resolve things with Vincent." Resolve what? Catherine asked hopelessly. I don't know what he'll decide. What I do know is that I have my own problem. I've packed Russell's things, and I don't care where he'll stay. At worst, he can stay at our summer house for a while. Claire, your summer house is seasonal. We stayed there in the summer. Nothing bad happened. It's chilly at night now, but that's not a big issue. He can always find someone warm at the cafe or from the street. As you said, the cafe has excellent choices. And before it gets really cold, he'll find a room. If Vincent leaves you, maybe you can rent him a room. You're joking, Claire laughed. The phone rang and Claire remarked, "There's Russell now, rushing to report he's completed his task and find out when he can come back. Doesn't he know you've kicked him out?" He knows, but doesn't want to leave. He's used to a good life here. He was fed, his laundry was done, and he was pampered. Though I haven't pampered him lately. All right, I'll answer. Claire picked up her phone, glanced at the screen, and said, "Oh no, it's Vincent calling." She switched to speakerphone and answered, "Hello, Vincent, hi. I'm listening." Claire, hi. I just met with Russell, and he told me he's having an affair with my wife. Is that true? Vincent, I don't know what to say. I promised Catherine I wouldn't say anything. Then it is true? I was starting to wonder if I hit him for nothing. Maybe he was just joking. You hit Russell? But he's your friend. I thought he was my friend too, but look how things turned out. According to Russell, they've been seeing each other for 2 months during lunch breaks. What are you going to do? What do you think? I've already decided. I'm packing Russell's things right now and saying goodbye to Catherine. She came by to see me. I see. Tell her not to wait for me at home. When I decide where to stay, I'll come and get my things myself. All right, I'll hand her the phone. Hello, Vincent, it's me, Catherine. Forgive me. I understand I've hurt you, and I realize forgiveness needs to be earned. Just saying I'm sorry isn't enough for you to forgive me. You should know that I understand the pain my affair caused. I swear it will never happen again. Vincent, believe me, I regret not just the consequences, but also what I've done. This is painful for me because I've lost not only you, but also my only friend. It's simple. You weren't thinking about me or our marriage. You were thinking only about yourself. Catherine couldn't hold back anymore and burst into tears, pleading, Vincent, I'll be home soon. Let's sit down and talk. I realize I've been a terrible hypocrite in our marriage. I always made it clear I couldn't accept infidelity. I distanced myself from people who cheated, never forgave them, and didn't want to communicate with them. I've always thought cheating was wrong. Now that you know about my affair, I'm hoping for your compassion and forgiveness. I had a moment of weakness and made a mistake. It doesn't justify my actions, but I hope your love is strong enough to forgive me. Catherine, you began to take our love and our marriage for granted. You've lost sight of what truly mattered. Because of your so-called mistake, you've lost not only my love, but also my trust. Honestly, I'm shocked by Russell's confession. I haven't made a decision yet, so don't wait for me. When I decide, I'll let you know. I don't know how soon it will be, or if it'll even happen. The call ended suddenly. Catherine anxiously turned to Claire. Did you hear what he said? Of course. He told you he won't come home today. And what does that mean? It means he's thinking things over and will probably kick you out. Don't you feel sorry for me? Tell me, who started all these troubles? You're calm because you've already cried it out. The phone rang again suddenly. Claire looked at the screen and said, Now it's Russell. She switched to speakerphone and answered, Yes? Claire, it's me. I did what you asked. I told Vincent everything. How did he react? Not how I expected. As a result, I have a knocked-out tooth and a black eye. Did you even talk? The conversation started, then came the beating, and that was it. What did you tell him exactly? I told him the truth about everything he asked. Then he said his lunch break was over, and leaving, he added he'd lost a friend today. What have you decided? I've already made my decision. I've packed your things. When you figure out where you'll live, come and get them. Or I could give them to Catherine. She came over for tea and cognac. Your stuff could go home with her. Claire, I didn't intend to cheat on you. It wasn't because I wanted something better. It was a moment of weakness. You were in the hospital. I was lonely and feeling sorry for myself, and that woman came to visit. Did she not know I was in the hospital?
No, Russell.
You've betrayed me more than once. Maybe I could have forgiven you if it had been just once, but it lasted 2 months, and in our marital bed. That's sacred for me. I can't forgive you, and I'm not going to discuss it. But I fulfilled your condition. I told Vincent everything. I didn't ask you to. You volunteered, hoping for leniency. Don't you want to say anything to Catherine? She's listening and crying, probably from happiness. You're free from me, and she might soon be free from Vincent. Although, I should warn you, we had a little girl talk and Catherine said you didn't impress her. Then why was she running after me? Claire ended the call. They drank more, and then Catherine called a taxi and went home. Catherine returned home overwhelmed by heavy emotions. Entering the empty apartment, she couldn't hold back the tears that suddenly rolled down her cheeks. At that moment, she realized that everything happening couldn't continue this way. The exposure of their affair had become inevitable. And now it had happened. 2 months of infidelity, 2 months of lies, and now the reckoning had come. Perhaps not everything was lost yet, but Catherine didn't know how Vincent would react or what decision he would make. She had lost her friend, and he had lost his best friend. Catherine was confident that nothing could shake Vincent's love for her, and because of this, she placed her momentary desires above his feelings. It was pure selfishness. Not wanting to engage in household chores, Catherine took out a bottle from the bar and sat in the kitchen. She understood that Vincent would neither come nor call, and she herself didn't feel like calling. It seemed pointless. Claire, her friend, was lost forever. She never could have imagined experiencing the events of today in her life. Strangely enough, Catherine couldn't even answer why she had treated her husband and her friend this way. The night passed sleeplessly in painful attempts to understand her actions. Catherine took full responsibility for everything that had happened and realized one simple truth. She had acted like a selfish fool. Catherine destroyed what was most important to her in the world: her love, friendship, and a happy marriage. She understood that neither Vincent nor Claire would ever forgive her. Now she herself experienced pain and suffering equal to what she had caused others. 2 weeks passed. Vincent neither called nor appeared at home, and there was no news from Claire either. Catherine mechanically continued going to work, fulfilling her routine tasks and minor instructions from management. One day, Adrian entered her office and sat opposite her. "Listen," he said frankly, "why don't we go to a cafe after work? Your husband left you, and so did your lover. I warned you. A secret is like a net. One broken loop, and everything falls apart. At work, no one knows yet." "Was it your doing?" Catherine asked sharply. "No, but you and Russell were sitting so comfortably in the cafe, and he looked at you with such loving eyes. No, not loving, lustful. I realized your affair was inevitable, and after observing you at work, I understood it wasn't just a fling, but already a romance. What surprised me most was discovering that Russell's wife, Claire, is your closest friend. I offered you my love, but you rudely rejected me. You probably judge me, but remember what Christ said. Why do you see the speck in your brother's eye but not notice the log in your own? Hypocrite. First, remove the log from your own eye, then you'll see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye." "I don't understand," Catherine frowned. "Oh, you understand perfectly. You've often judged my lifestyle, called me names on the phone, and now you're probably angry that I told your friend about your betrayal. But let's talk about what you did. How you climbed into bed with your friend's husband, forgetting your own husband." "I'm not going to discuss my personal life with you," she interrupted. At that moment, something Adrian never expected happened. Catherine grabbed a calculator from the desk and sharply struck him in the face. At university, she had trained in martial arts alongside Claire. Although they didn't achieve major sporting success, both could defend themselves. Adrian was unlucky because Catherine mainly practiced attacking techniques, fist, palm, kicks, and knee strikes. After several powerful hits to the head, Adrian fell to the floor. Catherine immediately began punishing him with technical kicks. Wearing not soft sneakers but stiff high-heeled shoes, her kicks to his groin were devastating. He lost consciousness. Only the arrival of colleagues running into the office saved him from further beating. Soon, the general director arrived. Hearing about the incident, he said, "Catherine, come to my office." Catherine realized she had nothing more to lose, hid nothing, and went straight to his office. Adrian was also summoned. Trying to appear confident, he declared, "Andy, I just wanted to have an affair with her. If she'd said no, I would have left, but look how angry she got." "But she's married," Andy remarked, raising an eyebrow. "That didn't stop her from climbing into her friend's husband's bed." Adrian shrugged. "And you're quite the womanizer, aren't you?" Andy asked. "I just don't like being rejected," Adrian confidently replied. "Understood. Here's a document. Write your resignation. Then go to HR and get your employment record book. You're no longer working here." "But what did I violate?" Adrian was surprised. "Here are your dismissal papers," Andy said, handing them over. "I don't need specialists like you. Remember, don't come to us for a reference. We can't recommend you to anyone. Your final payment will be made this afternoon and transferred to your card." Andy pressed the intercom button and addressed the secretary. "Please ask Catherine to come in." Catherine entered the general director's office, her face serious. "Did you call for me?" she asked.
Yes.
"Adrian, who is leaving our company, sends you his apologies for his inappropriate behavior," Andy said. "Andy, what do I do with his apologies? Now he'll always need to watch his back." "Russell, my friend's husband whom I was seeing, was a regional champion in martial arts. That's how we met. My husband was also a champion, but in a heavier weight class. So, what should Adrian do now?" "Run, Adrian, run. I don't think Russell will forgive you." "I see you've reconciled. Catherine, you can go and continue your work." In the evening, upon returning home, Catherine felt slightly nauseous, a sensation she'd never experienced before. Reflecting on everything that had happened, she began to panic slightly, suspecting she might be pregnant. The next morning, she took a couple of hours off work and rushed to the women's clinic, where her fears were confirmed. Although it was early enough to have an abortion, Catherine decided to keep the baby. Only one question remained. Who was the father? Eventually, she made her decision. "No one. I'll have this baby for myself." It was a difficult time. To look decent, Catherine began wearing loose dresses. By the 7th month, however, hiding her pregnancy became impossible. At the appointed time, she went on maternity leave, mostly staying home and keeping busy with crafts. There was no news from Vincent, and Claire also didn't call. One day, while walking outside, Catherine met Russell, who was accompanied by a woman. The woman walked ahead, while Russell stopped, looked at Catherine and asked, "Who's the father?" "Don't worry, it's not you." "Vincent?" he asked with a note of confusion. "Why do you care?" Catherine replied irritably.
Don't look at me like that.
"Yes, I was wrong, but circumstances unfolded that way, and you didn't stop me. Are you in contact with Claire?"
No.
"The day everything came to light was the last time I saw her." "So, you're alone now?" Russell continued. "No. As you can see, there are 2 of us." Catherine nodded towards her belly. "Who is it?" "According to the ultrasound, a daughter." Catherine was admitted to the maternity ward slightly ahead of schedule. The day labor began. Nothing unusual happened. She was transferred to the delivery room, then to the birthing area. As expected, she gave birth to a healthy girl weighing 3.25 kilograms and measuring 51 centimeters. The delivery went smoothly, without complications. While Catherine was resting after childbirth, an attendant came with a package. "Who sent this?" Catherine asked. "I don't know. We have a small window, and I can only say it was a man and a woman. They gave your name, and I brought you the food." The food came at just the right time, as Catherine hadn't prepared for her hospital stay. The next day, another package arrived. Finally, the day of discharge came, and clothes for the newborn, which Catherine hadn't thought of, were delivered to the hospital. As she completed discharge papers, Catherine anxiously asked the assisting nurse, "Where's my daughter?" "I gave her to her father. He's waiting for you in the visitor's room," the attendant replied. With a pounding heart, Catherine entered the room, but it was empty. The attendant added, "They went outside. It was stuffy in here." Catherine went outside and saw Vincent sitting on a bench next to Claire, gently holding her daughter. On a neighboring bench sat Russell and the woman Catherine had previously seen. Upon seeing Catherine, Russell handed her a bouquet and congratulated her on the birth of her daughter. At that moment, a minivan pulled up and they all got in. Arriving at the apartment, Catherine was astonished. There had been some renovations, a nursery had been set up, and the kitchen table was set. Gathering her courage, Catherine asked, "Can someone please explain what's happening?" "Exactly what's happening," Claire replied. "When Russell found out you were taken to the maternity hospital, he learned about it from his cousin who works there. She was keeping an eye on you at my request. Before this, Russell met you while he was with that woman, and he told me everything. We tracked down Vincent, who was renting an apartment on the outskirts. We explained everything to him. He had keys to your apartment and arranged some minor renovations to prepare a room for your daughter. We decided what happened between you and Russell shouldn't affect the child, especially since Vincent seems to be the father." "Did you decide to do a paternity test?"
Catherine asked.
"No," Vincent answered. "I decided she's my child without any tests. Russell agreed with me. He'll never claim paternity." "Vincent, I realize I've made a mistake. Tell me, is there any chance you'll forgive me? I'm here today with you and our child," he said softly, with a gentle smile. "Vincent, don't doubt, this is your child. My sister checked the blood type, but if you don't believe it, you can take a DNA test." Ultimately, Vincent returned home. He never told Catherine where he had been living during that time, nor did he ever reproach her for anything. Catherine gratefully accepted Vincent's decision to return and appreciated that he never tried to question how everything happened. To dispel her own doubts, Catherine secretly conducted a DNA test, which confirmed Vincent was indeed the father. However, he didn't need this proof. Gradually, though not immediately, they managed to overcome the crisis. Claire, despite all the events that changed Catherine's life and Catherine's reconciliation with Vincent, never forgave Russell. The friendship between Claire and Catherine was also never fully restored, although they occasionally communicated. 3 years later, Claire met a man and married him. Russell lived alone for a long time. He never reconciled with Vincent. After Claire's marriage, he drank heavily for a while but eventually managed to stop. Soon after, he met a single woman who turned out to be Adrian's ex-wife, and they had a son together. Adrian, after being beaten by Catherine, was fired, which greatly upset him. His romantic escapades and the reasons for his dismissal became known to his wife, who kicked him out of the house. Adrian's wife lived alone for a long time, but after meeting Russell, she started a relationship with him. Eventually, when Russell found out she was expecting his child, he proposed to her.